Next up, I'm very excited to introduce Grace. Grace has been working on a very unique project. It's completely analog, which means that it generates sounds by harnessing the power of physics and electricity. She's been also working hard on a lot of modifications to her project. And so through that, she's learned so many skills. She's learned how to troubleshoot using all kinds of fancy equipment that will be very helpful for her in the future if she ever works on larger scale projects. And yeah, so she's been very excited to show you what she's worked on. Here's Grace.
Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm a student at Lynbrook High School. So my Bluestamp project is Atari Punk Synthesizer. Essentially what it is an electronic instrument that produces sound using analog circuits instead of digital software. So by changing stuff in the circuit, I have control over the pitch, the waveform, and modulation of the sound that it produces. And I can change the sound to have a lot of different electronic tones. I chose this project because I'm really interested. I listen to a lot of pop synth music, so I really wanted to learn and understand how this sound is produced and how it's changed. On to my demo, for a closer look. So what you're hearing right now is the original Atari Punk synth, which is built around the 556 timer. What the 556 timer is, it's a small computer chip that produces electric signals that produces the sound. For my original circuit, I have 3 potentiometers, which are basically knobs that turn and change the sound. The first 2 that I'm about to show right here control the frequencies of the 2 oscillators in the chip. So this makes up the main tone of the oscillator. Now moving on to my modifications. I added an LFO, which stands for low frequency oscillator. Essentially what it does is it produces a slow repeating wave, typically under 20 hertz or so that our human ear can't really hear it. So it doesn't produce the sound. It actually changes things like pitch to the main oscillators, making a lot of chances for modulation like vibrato. I also have 3 potentiometers on this LFO. The first one here changes the speed of the LFO, whether that be fast or slower. And then these 2 change how much the LFO changes the main oscillators in the 556 independently. And that's the main modification I made. The second modification I made is a speaker. So my original sound signal was kind of weak. So by adding an amplifier, it boosts that and allows the speaker, allows the sound to drive the speaker more clearly. And then for the final modification, I use Onshape, which is a device for an app using for CAD to CAD a little container for my whole project to make it more aesthetically pleasing. I think the main challenge I had with this project was combining all 3 of these parts together, because I was given instructions on how to make each of the individual parts, but combining them together meant I had to actually understand how the signals worked with each other. So I spent a lot of time analyzing data sheets and trying to understand what each pin did and how would they interact to work together. At Bluestamp, I think I really learned the importance of hands-on learning. While reading only allows you to understand the concepts, I think building, fixing, making mistakes, and improving my circuit is really how I learned more about circuits and how electronics work. In the future, to improve from this, I would like to make the connections a lot more stronger, because right now it doesn't really work half the time, but I would like to solder and try to improve that connection so it has more chances of success. Thank you. Any questions?
So because this is an analog project, it's really hard to troubleshoot, right, when you have a problem, because it's not like you can just go to your computer and print out an error message or something. So can you give us a little behind-the-scenes walkthrough of how you went about debugging your project?
I use I think most most of the problems I had was connecting problems. So seeing if the wires really were connected with each other. So I used a machine like a voltmeter to connect, to see if my connections were really being connected with each other. So I think that's the major thing I used. Yes.
So you have 5 different knobs, right?
Yes.
You can control,
Yes.
and then you can create some specific frequency. Let's say do re mi fa sol la si do. Like you can specify frequency and you can make that sound, right?
Yes, but I would say that's kind of hard because it's so analog. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you were to implement more knobs, what would you use them for?
So actually in the LFO, there's a lot of pins, right? The chip has a lot of pins. And for me, I used, I think, pin 7 for the speed of the LFO. Pin 8 also does a similar thing. So if I were to add another potentiometer to change the sound, I would add it to pin 8 to give it more flexibility in that area.
Do you guys have like an oscillator? You can connect, can see the wave shape or the sound wave shape. I mean,
Sorry?
you know, there is like a device called an oscillator or something.
Oh.
You can connect you can see the shape of sound or the electric sound, like sine wave, cosine wave, something.
It can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have or did you try see the frequency or something?
Yeah, there's a machine that
Uh-huh.
we have in the classroom that allows for that, and I actually use that machine to debug a lot of my problems. as
Okay, cool.
Could you theoretically like add this to another instrument to change how the instrument sounds?
I don't think so because the sound comes from the chip itself, so it's not. I think you're thinking of like a guitar oscillator. You know how like guitars have different like pedals you can press to make them. I think there's similar things that you can make with that, but for this, I don't think it could be used to change a different instrument.